Hello, guys. It's such a pleasure to be here speaking to you. My name is Navneet Suri. I'm one of the product experts here at Zoho Finance. So, I'll be one of the speakers who will be taking you through this Zoho Finance Masterclass that we have designed for our customers. So, if you have joined us before, you would already know this. Through this Masterclass, we'll be covering the entire suite of finance products that we offer, right from Books, which is our dedicated accounting software, to our other dedicated software like inventory and subscriptions, and finally the latest addition that we have, which is Zoho Checkout, which came last year. So today we're going to focus on a specific part of Zoho Books, an overview of Zoho Books here. It's a complete online cloud-based accounting software that automates every part of your financial need of your business, your receivables, or the payables that you have, or if you have any stock that you need to keep track of your inventory, or if there's any powerful banking section that you need to connect, you can do that easily within Zoho Books. Apart from all that, we have a very powerful reporting feature. You can generate about 50 plus insightful reports right within Zoho Books. So with that, I'm going to jump into the core structure. Like I mentioned before, if you had joined us before, you are already familiar with this particular section. For the people who are joining us for the first time here, so that's a bunch of things that we have already covered. And today I'll be covering the purchases section within Zoho Books. So I'm calling it streamlining your purchases with Zoho Books, and that's chapter 7 of our finance masterclass. So with that, I'm going to jump into the agenda for today. That's how it looks like. We're going to start off with setting up the purchase module within Zoho Books. After that, we're going to see about creating various purchase transactions within Zoho Books. And finally, we're going to jump into this cool new feature that we came up with a while back, which is the documents feature. And we're going to end it with the employee reimbursement feature right within Zoho Books. So with that, we'll get started. So the purchase module is a very integral component of your financial ecosystem. So I'm going to start with how to set up this particular module within Zoho Books. So the general settings for both your sales as well as purchase section remains kind of similar, as you can see on the right here. As soon as you set up your Zoho Books account, you can go to settings preferences and select the specific modules that you would like to enable within Zoho Books. So you can see the bunch of options there on the right. So other than that, if you want to enable transaction approval, so Zoho Books is multi-user. If As you probably already know, so you can have a bunch of users that's accessing the same data from virtually different locations, and these users might have different designations, and based on that, their area of use within Zoho Books also varies. So if you want one of your users to have the ability to approve a particular transaction, you can easily set that within the general settings part while you're setting up this particular module. So after that, we go to the module specific settings. Within purchase orders, if you want to specify when exactly a purchase order should be closed, or within bills, if you want to specify the custom fields that should be there, these can be done easily within your module specific settings in Zoho Books. So like I mentioned, adding custom fields, sometimes you feel the need to add a separate label to an existing template that we have. That's an example right there on your screen on the right. So I've decided that for my bills, I want to add my vendor contact number as well, which I can quickly do that when I set up my module itself. As you can see on the screen, all I have to do is enter my label name, specify the data type, and I'm good to go. So we have something else called a mileage rate. So if you have employees within your organization who's traveling on work, and you want to set up a profile for that specific mileage rate for that, you can easily do that within Zoho Books. Other than that, if there's a company vehicle which you use, and you want to set up a profile for that specifically, again you can do that when you set up your module. So with that, I'm gonna jump into the getting started section of things. So this is more or less similar to the sales web section that we covered in the previous part of this masterclass by my colleague Varun. So you can import and export transactions. So when exactly does this come into picture? If you are moving to Zoho Books from a different accounting software, let's say, and there's this bunch of bills that you want to import directly and get started right away, you can easily do that within Zoho Books. There's an option called import bills, as you can see on the screen, and in whichever format that you prefer, your CSV or PDF or any other format, you can easily import that. If you want to export the bills that you've created within Zoho Books, you can do that as well. So other than that, so that's a list of bills that I've already created within my Zoho Books account, and if I can specify this default filter through which I wanna see this. If I want to see all my open bills or overdue bills, I can easily do that just by clicking on the filters that's there. Other than that, if I want to create some custom views within my bill section, within my purchases section, I would say I can easily do that. So here I've created a custom view with this particular name. What I've decided is that I want to view all my bills from 2017, and I've created this particular custom view called bills from previous years. So, and as you can see on the screen here, all I had to do was define the criteria and save it, and I can get all that data which I wanted quite easily. So other than that, this standard operations, what exactly do we mean by this? So you can do all the regular stuff that we call in Zoho Books. You can edit a bill once you've made it, or if you want to download it or email it to your boss or to an inbox that you prefer, you can easily do that. Other than that, if you want to print it out, again, or attach something, you can easily do that, and you can see the bunch of options here on the top. If you are in the business of cross-border transactions, let's say you are importing something from abroad from your vendor, so exchange rate is something that comes into picture in this scenario, especially if you are doing this from multiple countries. So by default, the exchange rate, foreign exchange rate, is fetched automatically in Zoho Books. But if you want to set a specific currency exchange rate, you can quite easily do that by going to the currency section. So, adding to the previous point, Zoho Books is not just multi-user; it is multi-currency as well. So that's how you disable your default exchange rate, and if you want to set something, you can easily do that there. So like I mentioned, if you're creating a bill and want to add any attachment, if there's a physical receipt or a bill that you have, and if you want to add that, you can do that when you're creating a bill or an expense itself. So template customization is the last point of getting started. So whatever bills or expenses or whatever documents that you create within Zoho Books is completely customizable. So there's the saying that we have here, we are not just smart, it's a beautiful accounting software too. So whatever documents that you create can be changed or customized to reflect the brand that you are trying to portray. And you have these bunch of options here on the left where you can play around and like I said, make it reflect the brand that you are trying to portray. So, with that, we're going to jump into the next section of this webinar. We're going to see how to create various purchase transactions within Zoho Books. So, we're going to start off with expenses in Zoho Books. So, we're going to see the various ways of creating an expense, then go on to mileage expenses, see what are recurring expenses, then what exactly we can do with bulk expenses, and finally we're going to end it with reporting tax. So yeah, expense is something that every company would have at the end of the day. And there are three ways of generating an expense in Zoho Books. First one is the most obvious way, where you can just go to that particular module and click on the new and a new button and create a new expense. Other than that, if you want to import an expense, there's a CSV or a PDF file that you have of an expense that you had when you went on your business trip. You can always import that into Zoho Books just by clicking on this button. The third option is a cool new feature that we came out with. I'll be covering this in detail a few slides later. It's called document scan. So all you have to do is just snap a picture of your bill or receipt, and the intelligence system that we have running in the background will automatically capture all the important data. And all you have to do is convert this into a transaction at a click of a button. Things are as simple as that. Next up, we have mileage expenses. So while setting up, we already saw how to set up a mileage expense for your company. So if you want to take that one step further, if you want to record a mileage expense for a company trip, for an employee trip, for a business trip that that person did, you can easily do that within our expenses section. You can see all the important data there: the date, the employee's contact details, the specific mileage, the distance that's covered, and finally the amount. So there are these situations in which you have recurring expenses. The one on the screen is a classic example where we have this office rent which you have to pay on a monthly basis. So automation is a key feature that's like at the cornerstone of whatever that we do at Zoho Books lies. So what we've done is that we made sure that once you have set up this recurring cycle, you don't have to worry about it at all. So you just have to create that profile and specify the specific cycle, expense cycle. So that's the second line where it says repeat every month, and you're good to go. So things are really simple. So finally, we have something called bulk expenses. So when you have a bunch of expenses together, like 50 to 100, it's really not easy to handle them in one go. If especially if you have one particular person handling this, so we know the pain of handling this, and so we have taken this extra effort to come up with this feature called bulk expenses. So if you want to do some actions in bulk, you can always go for that particular feature. Here, what I've done is selected all my expenses and specified the payment that has happened, and from which account exactly the payment happened for this set of expenses. You can see on the screen there the date, the expense account, the paid through account, and the customer name as well. So it's pretty useful when you have like a bunch of expenses that you have to deal with together. And finally, we have something called reporting tags. This is again a very powerful feature where we have continuously received positive reviews from our customers. So if you have location is a classic example, and if you want to create multiple reports for your transactions in different locations, and I can take the classic example that's on the screen there. I have my bunch of vendors in three different locations in Mumbai, Singapore, and Dubai, and I want to associate and create different reports for all three. I can easily do that by using the reporting tags feature within Zoho Books. So with that, we're going to jump into the purchase orders section in Zoho Books. Creating or sending a purchase order is really easy. You can see on the screen there. All you have to do is specify the vendor name, and the billing address is automatically populated with the place to supply or the destination. And all you have to do is specify the purchase order and the specific item that you're transacting. So when I go to my purchase order section within the purchases module, I can see all my purchase orders in one go. So I get a bird's eye view of all the important information here with the specific status. So you can see on the right here what exactly is the status that's associated with a particular purchase order. Converting a purchase order to a bill is a really easy process. It's pretty self-explanatory. As you can see, once you create a purchase order itself, you have the option to convert it to a bill at the click of a button. And finally, we have gone one step ahead and made things much more simpler. right from the contact section itself, you can create a purchase order for that particular vendor, as you can see on the screen there. So with that, I'm going to jump into the bill section within Zoho Books. Creating a bill, again, same routine. So we have this saying here, whatever action that you want to do within Zoho Books, you can do that within 3 clicks, or in about 5 or 6 seconds. Things are as easy as that. So creating a bill is a really easy process. All you have to do is specify the two or three important information that's asked for by the software. So we saw earlier about how you can convert a purchase order to a bill. This is pretty neat and useful, because and these are the little things that matter at the end, right? Because when you are dealing with 50 or 100 or a higher number of purchase orders, and you quickly go through them and you decide to convert it into a bill, you can easily do that within Zoho Books. Other than that, you have bill status and payments. Again, just like purchase orders, in one go, I get to see the status of my bills, the specific date, the billing date, the vendor name, the due date, the specific amount, and what exactly is the balance due for this particular vendor. So the idea is that you come here and you see all the important information in one go. So before you run to your next board meeting with the boss, or just a client meeting, or a meeting with your vendor, you can come here and see all the important information. So there are these situations in which your vendor owes you money because you receive some faulty good, or there's a payment which was overcharged or something. So in those situations, within Zoho Books, you have the option of creating a vendor credit. And so what you can do is you can apply this vendor credit to a bill that you have already generated, and the software will intelligently calculate the value that needs to be deducted from the bill that was already created. So there's no headache involved for you as a business person, and all the back end operations, the hard part of it is taken care of by Zoho Books. So just like recurring expenses, you have recurring bills as well. And right from a bill, I have the option of making it recurring at the click of a button. You can see the recurring bills that I've already created here. So finally, we have something called timesheet in Zoho Books. So if you have a time-based project running, where you charge your employees or your clients by the hour, by the task hours or something, you can always go for the timesheet option within Zoho Books. So within right from timesheet, if you want to create transactions, as you can see on the screen there, you can always create estimates or invoices, or coming to a purchases section, if you want to create a recurring expense, you can easily do that right from the timesheet section. You don't have to jump in separately to that particular contact, or the expenses section just for this. So it's really neat and convenient. So with that, I'm going to jump into the last section, which is the document management and reimbursement section within Zoho Books. So, like I mentioned before, automation has been at the cornerstone or foundation of whatever innovation that we have done at Zoho Books over the years. And so, this documents feature is something that came out after that line of thinking. So, with this add-on feature, what you can do is you can snap a picture of a receipt or a bill and upload it directly to Zoho Books, or alternatively, you get a dedicated mail address to which you can send your bills or receipts. So what happens is that the intelligent smart system that we have running in Zoho Books behind the screens will capture all the important data, like what exactly is the amount, or the vendor name, and create a transaction out of it. And you, as the business person, all you have to do is just click a button and convert it into a transaction. Yep, things are as simple as that. uh, so we're gonna see a bit of this feature in detail. As soon as you click on the documents module, you get this option to enable the auto scan feature, and set up the other preferences. So this is how my document inbox looks like currently. This is a bunch of documents. That's a PDF and a JPG that you can see there, which I uploaded recently. So yeah, you can see all the important information here. On the top, you can see the specific email ID to which I had sent it. And if I want to upload it directly, I can use the upload file option on the top right. So all these files that I've uploaded, I can easily move them to folders, which I can I create myself. That's the option right there on the screen. And so yeah, I can make sure that not everyone who's accessing my Zoho Books organization gets access to these particular documents. So I can control the permissions and who has access to what folder also within Zoho Books within the settings section. So, talking a bit more about the folders, creating a new folder is really easy. You can see that you can just specify the folder name. So, folder permission is something that I talked about in the previous slide. Either you can give unrestricted access to all users across your organization, or if you want to create a custom level, so that's what I've done there on the screen. So only me and the admin has access to that particular folder. So I can always do that. So things are really convenient and easy. And finally, moving of a file that you have uploaded to a folder is really easy. And yeah, you can see the bunch of options that you have there. You can drag and drop or upload it directly from your computer, or if you have it anywhere else on the cloud online, you can easily fetch it from there as well. So that's the folders and documents feature that we have within Zoho Books. And finally, we have the employee reimbursement section within Zoho Books. So there are these situations in which you can reimburse an expense that's been generated. If you are going to your client's client's location for a meeting, and there's this travel expense that you've incurred, and you can get it reimbursed from your client or customer. So in those situations, there's something called the reimbursable expense, which can be easily generated within Zoho Books. So you can see the expense screen on the right. So while you're creating this expense, all you have to do is click on this little checkbox that says billable. Uh, and that would make it reimbursable from your customers. So how do we take it to the next level and invoice this particular expense? You get this option after you click on that button to convert it into an invoice, and all you have to do is click on that and specify the customer name, and you're good to go. Finally, if you're looking for dedicated reimbursement and expense management software, we have Soho Expense, which is really neat and powerful. And so we have this philosophy at Zoho: whatever products that we make, we ship, are all integrated seamlessly, and they talk to each other. So this applies across the entire Zoho platform, and especially across all the finance products that we have. So that's the employee reimbursement section of it. With that, I'm going to jump into the product and give you a brief overview of the purchase module within Zoho Books. So here we are in the dashboard section of Zoho Books, where you get all the important information, your receivables, your payables, your cash flow, etc., all in one go. So you get a bird's eye view of all the important information here. So you can see a breakdown of your top expenses here. If you want to see it for a different time period, you can always control that there. So I'm gonna quickly take you to the purchases module here and quickly go through each one of them. So that's the bunch of expenses that I've created within my Zoho Books account. As I explained earlier, you can see the status and the amount. And if I want to import expenses, I can easily do that. Creating recording or creating a new expense is really easy. And yeah, you can see the two options here: recording a mileage or recording an expense. I can easily create recurring expenses here. this the bunch that I've already created. So you can see that we have the same design layout throughout. So for creating a new recurring expense or for importing, there's no chance that you would get confused. So that's the core of it. You don't need a separate specialist to do your accounting when you're using Zoho Books. So this can be picked up by anyone, and things are as simple as logging into your Gmail or Facebook, and yeah. So that's my purchase orders section with the specific status. I'm just going to open this particular purchase order. If I want to convert it into a bill, I can easily do that at the click of a button here. The secondary options here, if I want to edit it or download it as PDF or print it, I can easily do that here. So yeah, if there's a partial payment which I receive, I can easily record that here at the click of a button. I'm just gonna convert it to a bill here and save it as open. So here you can see a list of payments that I've made to my list of vendors. If I want to create a new vendor payment, I can easily do that right from here. It's really easy. So two ways of creating a recurring bill. Either I can select a specific bill and make it recurring, or I can go directly to my recurring bills section and create a new recurring bill. It'll ask for all the important information here. And finally, vendor credits. Like I said, if there's money that's being owed to you by your vendor, you can always create a vendor credit, and you have the option of applying it to a specific bill, so that that amount is automatically deducted, which is done by the software. So with that, I'm going to go into the document section and quickly show you that as well. So I agree here to enable auto scan and automatically capture all the important information for my account. So here you can see a list of files that I've already uploaded. So this is the folders section here. Currently there are no folders. If I want to create a new folder, I can easily do that here by specifying the folder name and the folder permission as well. So I am the admin for this particular account, and I can specify the folder permission level that I want to give. So that was me giving a very brief overview of the purchase module within Zoho Books. So we started off with expenses. We saw the various types of expenses that we can create. We went on to recurring expenses, saw what purchase orders are and how to convert it into a bill. The bills, whatever that you can do with a bill within Zoho Books, what recurring bills are, vendor credits, and finally the documents feature within Zoho Books. So with that, we come to the end of this particular webinar. If you have any questions, you can always shoot us a mail at support@zohobooks.com. Or if you have any questions right now, we have our product experts available. You can always type it into the chat window and we'll be happy to answer. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye bye.